Reverend Bill Engelheart, who was the previous senior minister here at Unity in Marin for, was it 13 years? Mm-hmm. Yes, for 13 years before I came. And there are so many things that I am grateful to you for, Reverend Bill, in terms, and he and I were just talking, but maybe I'll ask you, what are some of the things that you see as big accomplishments that occurred there at Unity and Marin while you were there? We were just talking about some of that before we started recording, but what are some of the things that you see that really were big accomplishments at Unity and Marin?
Well, first, I just want to say thank you for having me, Tim. It's so great.
Absolutely.
I think Unity and Marin is totally blessed in having you as their senior minister.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Some of the accomplishments over the years that I was there, I think the first one was just coming through the Great Recession. I got there in 2006, and then in 2008, the bottom falls out. People are losing their jobs, their houses. Unity and Marin had a really good rental program for weddings and events, and so that was a good source of income. But when the Great Recession happened, it was a double punch because people were losing their jobs and their houses, et cetera, and so donations were going down. And then when it came to people having their weddings, people couldn't afford to rent a place anymore, so they were doing it in their backyard. And so it was just a punch right away. And the organization, we made it through, with all the changes and things that we had to do and cost cutting, et cetera. That was very difficult. I'm just so proud of the organization to have made it through the Great Recession.
Right. Wow.
To be able to climb back out of that. Over the years, paying down a big part of the mortgage, not all of it. I wanted it all paid off for you.
Thanks.
I tried,
Thank you.
Paid off the mortgage. It's just not a sexy fundraising thing.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
But, we did redo Unity Hall, just remodeled the whole thing, the bathrooms, that are in the, right next to Unity Hall, redoing those things. I remember negotiating with banks for the mortgage to every year or so, a couple of years we'd have to refinance. And the idea came up in a board meeting to reach out to the Marin Community Foundation to see if they would take on the mortgage. And they had never taken on a church before. And I remember when we made the application, I sent them a list, or not just a list, but copies of thank you notes from all kinds of organizations, charities, et cetera, that Unity and Marin had been supporting.
Right.
They would send us thank you notes. And so it was like an inch thick, right?
Amazing.
We sent all that in. And later on, after we got the loan, I learned that a lot of those same organizations that we were supporting, they were as well. Mm-hmm. So that refinancing through them saved thousands of dollars a month.
Fantastic.
The bank rate to the Marin Community Foundation. So that's one of those, behind the scenes thing. Not everybody looks out. Yes. It's huge for the organization. Great to partner with them. And of course, opening the Montessori school. Cindy Acker, of course, when I sat down with her once, I was trying to figure out different ways to bring in other sources of income. And I was asking her about, do you know anybody that needs a music school or something like that? And she didn't. And then I asked her, well, I don't really know you. Tell me about yourself. And found out all that she knows about Montessori and the schools that she's opened. And so, her knowledge, skills, abilities, and willingness to shepherd us through that process was just huge. And the other person that was equally important in bringing that off was Sarah Lavallee. I mean, she is one of the smartest people I know, and she took the bull by the horns.
Right.
Her and Cindy, I mean, they ramrodded that thing. They did an incredible job. I'm like, just tell me what you need me to do.
Right. And I just want to jump in here and say that, that mortgage with the Marin Community Foundation. They've been so supportive. They've given us a forbearance throughout the pandemic, so we haven't had to make any mortgage payments, no extra interest, just tagged on extra time at the end of the mortgage. And that starting of the Hamilton Montessori School was pure genius. It has now become monthly a fantastic contributor financially, $8,000 a month coming to the ministry through that school. We've had over 18 children on the waiting list. We are expanding into the sanctuary. I just want to thank you for, and Sarah and Cindy and all of those involved for helping to set that up. And it's such a beautiful ministry. I see those kids whenever I'm on campus. It was a stroke of genius.
Well, that was definitely a divine idea. We thought about it for years, but I never knew anybody knew anything about it. And then here to sit across from Cindy, and like she's the oracle of it. So
right.
to run through all the traps to get it done. It was really a divine idea, because as soon as it came up, having the right person, having the right team, one of our administrative assistants contacted a school nearby that had closed, and they were willing to donate all kinds of chairs and desks and playground equipment.
Wow.
To us. And so but then how do you go pull up a playground, out of the ground? It turns out we had another congregant, his company sold playgrounds. And so he knew everything about it. And so he came with the equipment. We had, I don't know how many guys, that were digging out, knocking the concrete out.
That's amazing.
Congregants, collecting everything up, cleaning everything. And so it was one of those things where the congregation was definitely involved. I mean, we didn't know. And so we went to the board, got supported, and went to the congregation and explained, why I thought it was important. And for them to be able to get behind it and then to see all those things happen.
That's fantastic.
Just a pure joy. And I'm so glad that things have gone as well as you're saying. One of the things that I did as we built that playground was that I wrote a prayer on a big piece of paper about seeing the future and seeing hundreds of children being educated there and the joy it would bring.
Oh, that's awesome.
In the cement that went down. And at the time, that seemed like a dream, because there was, all kinds of challenges. But I'm so pleased to hear the things.
Well, that is wonderful. Was that Kurt Ware?
Yes, that's exactly what. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, put in the playground. Oh, that's awesome. So the mortgage, the school, the playground. What are some of the other big accomplishments? You and I were just sharing about the live streaming and
the live streaming back early on. Josh Holmes, who used to work with us, working
yes.
Just a phenomenal guy, knows about technology. And early on, I was a big proponent, and he had the knowledge to be able to say, how are we going to live stream? How are we going to? Well, first, it was go out on the CDs or cassettes. The CDs.
Yes. I remember those days. Yeah,
I remember duplicating.
Yes,
cassettes in the day. But to go through all that and to be able to, get the technology, and again, we didn't have tons of people at the time that were watching us online, but we had people from different countries, from South America,
yes.
Sweden, from Europe, all over. People were tuning in. It wasn't the hundreds of people, but it was a place I felt we really needed to be. And the analogy I used was, there was a time when newspapers didn't want to put their articles online because they figured they're giving it away for free.
Right.
If they didn't do that, they're out of business now.
Right.
So
that's right.
The same way about technology. We need to be out there and doing it. And I'm so glad to see that that's continued, and under your leadership, how it's grown.
Yeah, that was, again, I mean, not all Unity churches have invested and building that platform and that foundation of having that kind of online live streaming and to build the virtual congregation. I know at Unity Worldwide Ministries, we did some research, and this was 2 or 3 years ago, okay? And of all the Unity churches that we researched, only about 35 or 37 of them that we could identify were doing live streaming. And I was shocked when I saw that. I was like, are you kidding me? And so when we got into the pandemic and sheltered in place, I'm so grateful we had that platform and that ability to connect with people online. What a huge gift. And then to be able to build on that and build the church, as I was sharing with you, so that now there's twice as many people. So thank you. Wow. Thank you so much for that.
I'm so glad to see that investment and that time is paid off, and that you were able to take it and then really do with it what we had at one point, just really hoped would happen.
Yes. Right.
Fruition. So
right. Thank you. That's awesome. I also wanted to ask you about what do you see as being some of the ways in which Unity in Marin has really changed people's lives? While you were here, what was some of the evidence that you saw that people's lives were really being touched and changed by Unity in Marin's involvement?
Well, I think there's so many different things from the individual to the organizational level. I remember that we helped a lot of nonprofits who schools that would come and do fundraisers at Unity Marin. And we had a guy that was an auctioneer, and we had a certain way in which we did it that was very successful for us. And so we gave that away. We told her, here's some ideas, to help you with your fundraising. And that really, mushroomed out that every person who came, every organization, they did better in their fundraising because we were able to help them. Look at the
nice.
I think on the individual level, there were fires a few years ago, and one of our congregants, their house burned down, and they were in church that Sunday, and they said they were really looking for a place to stay while their house gets rebuilt. And of course, after a fire knocks out hundreds of homes, rental, properties are few and far between. And I put it out to the congregation that Sunday to say, we need to help our congregants. Does anybody know anyone that can help them find a rental place for up to a year or so while they're going to rebuild? And before the day was over, they had somebody. They had a place.
Oh, nice.
And so on the individual level, I was really proud of that. I'm proud of individuals who've gone on to do, wonderful things. Of course, our friend Reverend Medora Gordon.
Right.
The school, getting ordained, her selfless service throughout the years to the community is remarkable. We're all indebted.
I agree.
Is that many people will never fully realize. And it was really an honor to be in ministry with her and to see the dedication and all the lives that she's touched and all the challenges that the organization went through. And she was right there. So I'm just so proud of her. I'm proud of Reverend Leanne Vong, who was a congregant of ours, was on the board for a while in the church, and then she went on to get ordained at Unity Village, and so she's touching hundreds of people's lives as well. I think Elisa Starbird, who was running Wednesday night services, where we had little to nothing going on Wednesday night.
Yes.
And she just took it over. I'm like, do whatever you want. And she ends up bringing in Karen Drucker, every month. Steve Halpern,
right,
the godfather of New Age music. He comes in. I love the guy. And he was just so mellow. He'd come and he'd do it every month. And,
right.
We had the New Year's Eve drumming circle that came out of that. I mean, just so many people's lives were touched. And that was a ministry that, Lisa was really running. And I knew that on Wednesday night, there were people that couldn't come to Sundays, but they could come to a Wednesday. And so they were getting filled that way. So I know a lot of people got touched. of course, every board I had at Unity and Marin, I was so proud of, and they were just so awesome. So many selfless, people, talented, whether it was Gabe or Sarah or Al Gaspari, Pamela, Claire. I mean, I could go on, and if I didn't mention your name, it just goes so many. But I'm indebted to all of you who really, their dedication to the organization was huge. And the organization would never have been what it is without them and the people that came before.
Right.
I think about the circulation day. Once a year, we'd have people just clean out their closet or, their storage unit, whatever you're not using anymore, bring it to church, and we're just going to give it away. It's not going to be a garage sale or anything else. And people from the neighborhood would know when that was going to happen, and they would just come. And I'm like, that's totally fine.
Nice.
Want to keep it in circulation.
Right.
So I know there were thousands of people, that over the years that were able to release what was no longer serving them, then to be able to pick up something.
Right. That's wonderful.
Life would. And so I was really proud how that really blossomed. The blood drives, the putting packages together to support our troops, exposing people to new thought by partnering with the local religious science church. And we brought in Michael Beckwith several times. We brought Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson. We'd rent out a huge place and bring people.
That's wonderful.
Get connected to these ideas and new thought. And so there's thousands and thousands of people. We had a choir from Oakland would come over. I mean, it was just
right.
It was just wonderful. And so many of our congregants put together things, backpack drives for the homeless. Bill Ham, every year, the whole Unity Hall would be full of backpacks and all kinds of stuff, and high school kids would come and stuff them, and then, get in vans and give them out to homeless people, throughout the Bay Area. Giving the place for free to Compassionate Friends, which is an organization where if someone lost a child.
Yes, right.
Give them the facility. Of course, Bread and Roses, having them do their fundraiser every year for free. And they're the one that bring music to prisons and nursing homes and that kind of thing. And of course, so many lives were touched within the organization. Congregants helping each other through illness, through injury, and end of life, that they would be there. You could be an older person in this congregation and maybe not have, young people in your life, but the church was there. People that are bringing you something, visiting you, the whole 9 yards. So that always really touched my heart. So and hopefully my talks made some difference.
I know they did. And one of the things that I consistently hear is the healing power of this community, how they've been there for each other through all of this. I don't know if you were referring to Frank and Claire Gallardo that had been burnt out up in Santa Rosa area. I think of how people reached out to them or reached out to others in their time of need. And so recently, I've gotten lots of remarks from people of how this community has healed them. So again, I thank you for your leadership, for how you helped to build that, how you helped to build that online, and help to really build this place that cares for one another. And by your teaching, your talks, your leadership, your example, you help contribute a great deal to this community that continues, as some people tell me, save their lives. Save their lives in terms of finding spiritual principles and that deep sense of community and love that is expressed to one another. Now, before we started recording, you were telling me some things that Richard Manti was saying, and that there's no way that anybody could really understand what all a minister is doing or experiences or necessarily goes through, because so much of it is behind the scenes, unless you've actually done it. And so we've talked about a lot of accomplishments, and obviously it's a lot of work, but what are some of your favorite memories here, or what are some of the funniest memories? Either one, because it's fun too. I mean, yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's also fun. At least I hope it was for you at times.
I tell people it was the most challenging work I've ever done in my life, and it was the most rewarding work I'd ever done in my life. I mean, both of those things coming together. And there were times, a lot of funny moments. I remember I was giving a talk once, and I'm up on the platform, and I'm speaking, and all of a sudden I see all the people in the congregation going like this, going back and forth, like there's a tennis match going on behind me. I'm like wondering, well, I don't know what's going on here. Until finally I realized there's a horsefly around my head. Right? And, it's like, what are you going to do?
You're being upstaged.
I was being upstaged by a fly. Right? Totally engrossed. It was hilarious. And so I just reach up, in a million shot, I caught it.
Did you really?
I caught it. And the whole thing was like stunned, right? And I was talking like it's no big deal.
Right.
But then I'm thinking, as a minister, you'll appreciate this. And what am I going to do with this? If I kill it, that's not going to look very ministerial.
Right.
If I go slam on the platform. So I'm thinking, and I'm talking, and they're just like jaws open. So I get off the stage, and there's the side door.
Right.
I just open the side door and let it out, and I come back in, and the whole place goes up for grabs.
That's great.
They're howling, and it's it's hilarious.
I love it.
And I'm in the line. This is the end of the second service, and a guy comes through. I kid you not. I thought he was joking. He said, "Did you do that in the first service too?" I'm like, oh yeah.
You have a trained horsefly.
That's what I thought. I said, yeah, that's my pet fly. I mean, that just killed me. There's another time I was doing a talk, and I had a surprise for the congregation. I had a guy that ran a big cat sanctuary bring in a full-grown mountain lion.
Wow.
Behind the stage and put it up on a table. Right, so I'm doing the talk, and in the middle of the talk, he knows when to come out.
Okay.
He puts the cat up on the stage. This thing's like 150 pounds, and it's big. And I remember asking him, I'm like, so, I got my back to him. How do you keep him from not reaching out, clawing me? He goes,
Right.
I've got some food, some meat, things. And he said, that'll be good. And I'm like, we have 2 services. And then he was like, He goes, well, I'll be out of the food by then. I'm like, oh, okay. And, to this day, people talk about, oh my God, Bill brought a mountain lion on stage. But my question is always, so what was my talk about?
Nobody can tell you, but they remember the mountain lion.
That's right. I learned something there. I'm like, if you're going to pull something like that, it better be at the end of the talk. And of course, the talk was Daniel and the Lion's Den.
Ah, okay. Great. How apropos.
I look back at some of those things and go, I learned,
That's so fun. And it is a fun place. It's a fun community, fun group of people. And I know that you connected with so many people here, and, we're here for 13 years. I just want to thank you for your work that you did here. And I hope this is okay to share. We can edit this out if it's not. But you were sharing with me a little bit earlier, Bill, that you hold this church and me in your prayers every day. And that means so much to me, to know that we continue to be in your prayers. And the work that you did continues to go forward and to expand in new ways. And we just bless you and give thanks for the work that you did here in helping Unity and Marin to prosper, helping it to thrive as a community, and helping it to really unfold into even more greatness. Thank you so much.
thank you. And I send my love and blessings to all the people at Unity in Marin. You're all in my heart. And
Wow.
blessings to you, Tim, for being the right person.
Thank you.
Time to lead Unity in Marin forward.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a blessing to have you here.